How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video featuring my 95 S500 W140 that we call Dr. Dre sitting behind me. And if you guys don't know, we've been working on this car to get it running properly, and it is still having some issues. So I'm having hot start issues and I'm having stall out issues, but the car is now pretty much every time starting up pretty decently. It is a little bit of a long start, and I think I know what the issue is. A lot of you guys have pointed it out in the comments. I think Ray was the first to point it out. Ray, you know who you are, and you let me know it's the crank position sensor. Now, I had some ideas that it could be that, but I needed to knock out the fuel section of this before moving on because I needed to know my fuel pump was good, my fuel system was clean, and we were getting fuel to the engine, and I believe we are completely fine on that. Like I said, the car starts up most of the time pretty good, and then it has its issues as it warms up, and that is due to the crank position sensor getting hot, expanding, and not having good connection, and then giving the engine false readings. So let's go ahead and swap it out. Now, I went ahead and ordered a very inexpensive one made from China, just to see if this is going to work, because it was like 20 bucks online. So I went ahead and ordered it quickly, and if this is the issue, which I believe it's going to be, I will actually go and get an OEM or an OEM style one, and we'll replace it with a much better one. But as you guys can see here, it is made in China. It's CPS 30128. It did have decent reviews, but I don't know, it looks a little thin. It's not seen to be made as well as the stock one, but we will find out, and it should do the job to at least give us an idea if our crank position sensor is bad. Now, you can test these crank position sensors, but even if the plug tests good, they can still be bad. So we're just gonna go ahead and swap it out and eliminate this altogether. Now, I've never changed out one of these plugs, like I said, but I believe you can access it from the top. As you guys can see here, it's a plug and wire set. This plug right here kind of goes in up underneath here, runs along here, and drops down there, and I believe it plugs into the transmission. Now, you do have to be very careful when getting this other side off. It has a little bolt that goes into it. These can get very brittle over time. Like I said, they do expand and give you false readings, so you got to be very careful when pulling these out, because if they snap in there, I heard it is a hell of a job to get that fixed. So we do not want that to happen. Let's get started. I'll fill you guys in as I go. If you can access from the top, I do have the car jacked up just in case, but we're going to try to go the easy route. So let's get started. All right, guys, so just a fill-in. This is a 95 S500, so it's the 5-liter V8 motor, and this is a 95, so it's a pre-facelift. Like I said, the crank position sensor starts there, it goes along here, kind of drops down, and I followed it down back here, and you can access it from the top. If you look right there, it's got that little Allen key bolt on top. I'll tell you guys what size that is. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my Allen key sets. We'll get that off, and we should be able to slide that wire out. And it shouldn't be too hard to slide the new wire in and tighten it up. Now, also, while I was down there, I found two vacuum lines that were unplugged. This one here would kind of drop down in there, and then this one right here. So I think they could connect together, but I'm not 100% sure. So I got to kind of do some investigating on that, because that could also fix some of my rough idling. Let's get down there. I'm going to go ahead and get that Allen key bolt undone, and then we'll slide the new crank position sensor wire down into there. It came right out. That's awesome. All right, let's go ahead and fish this through. All right. The bolt was actually pretty loose, so maybe somebody had changed this out and just didn't get it tightened up that tight. But that was a relief, not having to try to get down in there and loosen up something that was seized. All right, so let's go ahead and get this wire out, and we'll swap the new one in. All right, just wanted to show you guys this too. Look how frayed the ends of these wires are. In fact, that's all coming apart, obviously from heat over time, and this one's already deteriorated off, so probably a bad connection. So we'll toss that one out. Let's go ahead and throw this new one in. Like I said, I'm probably going to connect those two vacuum lines, because those are the only two that I can see down in there, and they will fit together, so I'll probably slide those together. Hopefully that's correct, and then we'll go ahead and get it back together and start her up, see what happens. All right, guys, it's all back in, and I gotta say, it's a real tight area, and you are gonna cut your hands up a little bit. I probably should have put gloves on, but then again, I wouldn't have been able to tighten that bolt up or loosen the bolt up to get it out if I had gloves on. And I also want to point out the most difficult thing was getting this piece back in there and to the right angle. So when you're pushing it back in, you can't see the bolt hole, and so what you gotta do is make sure you know where the orientation is, and if you're going straight in, it's gonna be twisted. And I think you can twist it as much as you can, because I turned it as hard as I could till it stopped, and then I was able to tighten up that Allen key bolt. The other thing is you got to really wiggle this thing down in there, and it is a very tight area, so it's very difficult. Just take your time. Took me maybe 20 minutes to finally get everything back together. Let's go ahead and start this up and see what happens. Well, guys, unfortunately, the car is running like crap, so we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board, but I do have some ideas of what it could be. Now, I don't wanna say this is a complete fail, because I think that sensor actually was bad, because for the first time in months and months, she was able to start right back up. Still running like crap, but at least I could get her back home. Now, I took her down the road. She stalled out when I was giving her gas, and I can feel the gas starvation, so definitely still a fuel system issue, but I think it's in the injectors is what I'm thinking, because whenever I give it gas, it'll hesitate, it'll start to sputter, and then it might take off a little bit, and then finally it just decided to stall out, like it cut all fuel off completely. So I'm thinking that there just wasn't enough fuel getting to the motor, and it decided to just shut down. So like I said, the positive thing, it started right back up, which it hasn't done in forever, and it's still running. So positive things you got to take. At least I know that I changed that sensor out now, and I can check that off my list. Of course, some people are going to say you bought a cheap China sensor, but I don't think that's the issue, because like I said before, she wasn't able to start back up when she got hot. Starting right back up, still sounding like crap, which means it's a fuel spark issue. So we're going to dive into doing the spark plug wires, probably cap and rotor, and then we'll also check out the injectors. So we got a lot to do on our list, but one thing at a time. We'll finally figure out what's wrong with her, get her back on the road. You guys have an awesome day, a blessed week, and I hope one of you guys learned something from this video. Catch you on the next one.